and thank you for joining us today on SG 101, Spiritual Guide 101. And today we have a guest speaker speaking with us today. We have Father David Hanna from St. Mary's Coptic Church in Chicago, Illinois. Abuna, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And we have also Joe joining us today, asking questions as well. Abuna, today's topic is on one of the top controversial issues amongst the youth here, dating, your favorite word. And so growing up as born and raised here in the States, but with parents that come from Egypt, and I think it's very popular amongst the congregation in the church that there's two different sides of the spectrum. Growing here in America, dating it's the norm. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no age limit to do it. But for people that are coming from Egypt and that have lived and grown up in Egypt, it's a very taboo subject to talk about. It's looked down upon, it's shunned maybe. And then somewhere in the middle of this, there's the church's point of view. So how do you differentiate between the three?
I think it's interesting because at a certain point, when the kids are done with college, I'll see the parents are really encouraging their kids to start dating and to get married. And the parents are always like, "Hatgawizu imta? When are you getting married?"
But you said after college. So is that when you're indicating that the preferred time to begin dating is?
So my personal opinion is that the time before college, I think, at least based on my personal experience, that people haven't found themselves yet. So during college, I know from my personal experience, I wasn't the same person when I started college. I wasn't the same person in the middle of college, and I was definitely not the same person at the end of college. And I say that was true even in my graduate studies. So after the 4 years of my undergraduate degree, I went to graduate school, and I realized that my maturity changed. And I'm being fully honest. And I think the danger in dating before you've reached full maturity is that if you don't know yourself, how are you ready to invest in a relationship with someone else? Then it becomes like a little experiment, right? And we don't want to be experimenting with people's emotions and with their feelings, because that's how people get hurt. And people have really, tough times when people break up and then they feel loneliness and they feel insecure. So really it's better that once you figured yourself out.
So you said that as you went through undergrad and grad school, you changed. So is there an indicator to let you know, like, hey, I fully matured, now I can start?
I think one of the biggest indications that you've reached full maturity is when your priorities have been sort of crystallized. And when you put God first in that list. At least that's kind of when it crystallized for me. Throughout college, I had many different priorities. I had my priorities about my academics. I had thoughts of careers. I had thoughts of my social life and who I wanted to hang out with and who I wanted to be friends with. And, and then obviously every youth is always thinking about who they're going to marry and who they want to be with. So then all these things are sort of competing for first place. So I think at a certain point, what I realized in my life is that I sort of put them in an order and they didn't move and they were fixed. At some point, career, I'm gonna be honest, was very important to me. And then I realized that, you know what? Career isn't everything in life. People who have the best careers sometimes are the most sad people. So then career can't satisfy you. Then I said, is the social life the most important thing? Or finding your spouse the most important thing? And then I saw people, they had many relationships and they were breaking up every day and heartbroken. So obviously being fulfilled or true happiness doesn't come from relationships, or it doesn't come from academic. So then I realized that really the best thing that makes us happy and that can fill us is if we put God as our priority and we focus on Him. And I feel like when that was set, then it made it very easy for the others to fall in place. And I think I would encourage our youth to really put God as their priority, and then your relationships are going to happen, and they're going to happen beautifully. They're going to happen beautifully.
To backtrack a little bit, you were saying we didn't want to experiment with emotions or experiment with other people's feelings. Some feedback I got, or like comments that I usually get from this, it's usually once you've reached that age where you're ready to start dating, you don't know how because you haven't before, you really haven't done anything with that, and you come to a time where you're maybe awkward or don't know how to take care or to take in consideration someone else's feelings, which is why they would say earlier to start not experimenting but to start learning how to deal with someone else's feelings in order to be ready for it when the time comes, as I guess you could say.
I think all of us have some indication of what dates are from the media and from movies, and two people go out on a nice date, and so I don't think that's a very legitimate excuse that we need to start earlier so we can have more experience to
So then is what we see in the media, is that what we're to...
No, but what I'm saying is that when you are the right age to date, you've spoken to people of the opposite sex before. Consider you're dating with them no different, right? It's not like things are going to be totally different. And it's very important for certain age groups to interact with the opposite sex. And we're not saying that boys have to be with boys and girls have to be with girls and they never intermingle. No, it's very important for development that boys and girls interact and so they understand each other. But that doesn't mean that they have to go on one-on-one dates with each other. And when you start doing that, then more emotions start to get involved, and lust and things like that can start to take you down a very difficult path.
So I'm going to sidetrack right here. You're saying it's very important for boys and girls to be to interact with each other at certain ages. There come certain servants or mindsets that think Sunday school in particular should be separate, boys and girls, or retreats should be separate, boys and girls, or just activities within the church that should be separate by gender. What do you have to say to that? What do you think? I know it's kind of off topic, but I think that's an important issue as well.
I think that depends maybe on the local structure and maybe some local things that are happening at the church level. But I'm speaking more as a generality that it's very important that youth of a certain age get some interaction. That doesn't mean that Sunday school has to be together, but it means that the boys' Sunday school and the girls' Sunday school, they should at least know each other. They should have some opportunities to hang out. Whether that means separating or not, that's up to the church to decide, depending on their servants, depending on their classrooms, depending on their numbers, depending on a lot of different factors that could come into it. But my point was that it's just important that youth have opportunities to interact with the opposite sex.
So you're really into it's appropriate to start dating after college, or even during your later years of college. But what about high school sweethearts or love at first sight in high school? Is that not believed in then, or is that not supported?
Yeah, love in high school is kind of a complicated issue because I think in high school, if we were to assess those priorities we talked about earlier, the number one thing on a high school person's list is obviously the physical attraction. And so I think when that's your top priority, it makes it very difficult for you to choose or build a relationship with someone. And I've seen people in high school, they have their top 10 lists and they would try to date as many people, and they used to date very quickly, maybe have a relationship for 2 weeks and then and the fact of the matter is that these relationships don't last. They don't last. Statistically, I don't have the exact statistic, but I'd be very shocked if very few, let's just say very few of high school relationships make it. So why put all your effort and all your emotions and all your feelings into something that could eventually go away? It's better to keep those for someone else that you'll have a long relationship with.
So then another question I'm presented with is that crushes are inevitable. You
Definitely.
a feeling is you have a crush. Is that feeling wrong then? Are you supposed to just store those feelings away, or am I supposed to do something? What do you think, Abuna?
So let's define crush by in another way is it could be a lust. That you have an attraction to someone and you like someone. And obviously that attraction is very dangerous or could be very dangerous. Our Lord Jesus Christ says anyone who looks at a woman in an improper fashion has committed adultery in his heart. So if the lust or if the crush, if you will, is one of lust and it's causing you to burn with passion inside of you, then it's obviously something that has to be addressed, and we have to put that fire out. Otherwise, it will burn all your thoughts and it will consume all your emotions and all your thoughts, and you won't be able to focus on anything else.
And unfortunately, Abuna, that's all the time we have for you today. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this discussion. I know this is a very heated topic that a lot of the youth love to get involved with and talk about. And to our viewers, if you have any questions, anything further about this topic or any other topic, please contact us at sg101@cycnow.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Abuna, thank you again for being with us, and thank you for tuning in.